Obtaining a license to hold and use medical cannabis. What is the process for taking and holding a license to use medical cannabis? Everything you wanted to know, the necessary documents, a doctor qualified to apply, and what are the stages of the process have to go along the issuance of a license. What is the approval of medical cannabis? This certification is designed to alleviate the suffering of patients with serious diseases, chronic and terminal, such as cancer, Alzheimer's disease or multiple sclerosis, which involve pain and suffering of many large, which is not found a drug that can relieve them, and after having exhausted all other alternatives as well. Medical cannabis gives patients the possibility of reducing the harm of their daily lives, which disrupted the disease and its symptoms. Medical cannabis is produced from the cannabis plant and has a calming properties, improves mood, neutralizes bad feeling physically as nausea, appetite stimulant, and has other positive attributes. Since cannabis is under the command of prohibited drugs, use is possible only with special permission from the Ministry of Health. This is not a complex process that everyone is entitled to access it, but made only through a specialist. This page will process the patient to obtain a license to hold and use medical cannabis. The Health Ministry authorized body to examine the requests and the issuance of the required license called ICAR, an acronym of the words, only cannabis for medical use, and that it was indeed the doctor's recommendations, and is the one who examines them in accordance with procedures established by the Ministry of Health. The process for applying. 1. How to file. As mentioned above, need for medical cannabis comes against the backdrop of a patient suffering HMSPH disease, so the doctor has applied for should be only expert in the field from which the patient suffers. The doctor on the application form can be found to fill the Ministry of Health website, along with instructions for filling. It can be opened only in browsers, Internet Explorer version 10 or higher, or Chrome. After sending the physician, please print the form and stamp it and sign the patient himself. The patient by a doctor to make sure all the documents required before treatment begins only when addressing all the necessary ingredients in the body therapist, and all required acceptance must be made no later than 3 months from the date of filing of the application. 2. Acknowledgement of receipt. After receiving the request, received a text message, SMS, confirming the HICLTF and the start of treatment. 3. The method of processing the application. The clinical staff of ICAR is a physician recognizes the authority to permit the storage and use of cannabis. Is it that examines the parallel request medical information provided to him along with the request, and in accordance with the procedure licenser's medical indications for use of cannabis, Procedure 106. 4. The approval or rejection of the application. Please note that all contact between patient unit which is done through the specialist who submitted the request. If the decision was made not accepted by the patient, unable to challenge it through appeal and review, to contact by filling out an appeal request form that will be filled by the specialist treating the request in the first place. The committee meets at least once a quarter. 5. Issuance of the license to use medical cannabis. When you receive a resolution endorsing the application for the license to use medical cannabis, the license will be issued and transferred to the supplier, and the supplier is the one that will contact the patient to coordinate training and delivery dates. When the application is for psychiatric background, to the request annexed request assistance cannabis PTSD patients. The request will be submitted by the expert psychiatrist who treats the applicant. Summary procedure. Licensed in 5 phases. 4 steps on the recommendation of the license are: 1. The patient who wishes a license needs to see the list of specialist physicians who submits a recommendation under his name. The recommendation is sent to the body therapist, ICAR. 2. Absorption recommendation. 3. Examination according to relevant criteria and indications. 4. The decision is made. 5. If the request is accepted, license issued. The documents required for applying. Apart from the above-mentioned online form, request must be accompanied by the following documents. him to make a summary of the latest medical information from a family doctor. Add the annual report of medication from a pharmacy or hospital. Issue tracking clinic. There are also attach any other medical document appears to be a specialist. It contains information that can promote the acceptance of the license and evidence of other treatments have been tried before without success. In case the application is to change the dose, so in addition to the documents listed above must be attached to the protocol, and vendor training needs to update the table.